Welcome to Sleep and Absorb. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and let yourself relax. Tonight, we explore déjà vu.
You are somewhere you have never been before. A new city, perhaps. A restaurant you have not visited. A conversation taking an unexpected turn. And then, without warning, a feeling arrives. A feeling that you have been here before. Not a vague impression. A strong, specific, vivid conviction that this moment, this exact configuration of sensory experience has occurred before. That you have sat in this chair, in this light, with this particular quality of sound in the room, and that you know what is about to happen next. The feeling is so strong that for a moment you half believe it. And then it passes as quickly as it came, leaving behind it a faint residue of strangeness, a sense that your mind has briefly slipped out of alignment with itself. This is déjà vu, from the French already seen, a phenomenon so common, estimated to occur in around 60 to 70% of people at some point in their lives, and yet so strange in its quality when it happens that it has attracted the attention of philosophers, neurologists, and psychologists for well over a century. Tonight we explore déjà vu, what it is, what the brain is doing when it happens, and what it reveals about the remarkable and sometimes unreliable machinery of human memory. Let your breathing slow, and let the feeling of familiarity, if it comes, simply be what it is. The French philosopher Émile Boirac coined the term déjà vu in 1876, but the experience had been described and speculated about long before it had a name. Plato interpreted such feelings as evidence of the soul's memory of a previous existence before birth. Many spiritual and religious traditions have seen déjà vu as evidence of reincarnation, the feeling of recognizing a place or situation from a previous life. Sigmund Freud interpreted déjà vu as the resurfacing of a repressed memory or fantasy, the uncanny feeling arising from the return of something the conscious mind had pushed away. Others proposed that it represented a momentary dissociation, a brief split in consciousness in which the present moment was simultaneously experienced as current and as memory. None of these theories has survived scientific scrutiny in their original form, but they all circle around something real, the genuine strangeness of an experience in which the brain's sense of familiarity comes detached from any actual memory that could justify it. The feeling is real. The explanation took longer to find. Modern neuroscience has developed several credible accounts of the mechanism behind déjà vu, and while no single explanation has been universally accepted, they share a common theme. Déjà vu appears to involve a mismatch or malfunction in the brain's memory systems, specifically in the systems that handle the distinction between familiarity and recollection. The brain has two distinct ways of recognizing something as known. Recollection is the full retrieval of a memory, the what and where and when of a past experience arising as a conscious, detailed mental replay. Familiarity is something different and simpler, a feeling of having encountered something before without the full context of the original experience being available. You might recognize a face as familiar without being able to place where you have seen it. That is familiarity without recollection. In déjà vu, the current theory is that the familiarity signal fires without any corresponding recollection. The brain's recognition system generates a strong sense that this has been experienced before, but when the recollection system tries to retrieve the original memory that would justify that feeling, it finds nothing. The familiarity is there without the memory to support it. And the result is the characteristic quality of déjà vu, the vivid conviction of having been here before, combined with the inability to say when or why. Brain imaging studies and research with epilepsy patients, in whom déjà vu sometimes occurs as part of a seizure originating in the temporal lobe, have pointed to the rhinal cortex and the hippocampus as the key structures involved. These are regions central to memory encoding and retrieval, and disruption to their normal functioning, whether through the electrical storm of a seizure or the subtler fluctuations of ordinary brain activity, can produce the dissociation between familiarity and recollection that generates the déjà vu experience. Déjà vu is more common in young adults than in older people, more common in people who are tired or stressed, and more common in people who travel frequently and therefore encounter more genuinely novel environments. It tends to occur more often in people with higher levels of education, which may reflect a greater tendency to introspect and notice internal experiences, or may reflect something about the way highly stimulated brains process novelty. The frequency of déjà vu declines with age. Children under 10 rarely report it. It peaks in the 20s and 30s and gradually becomes less common thereafter. This pattern is consistent with the idea that it reflects the activity of memory systems that are highly active and sometimes overactive in younger brains, becoming more stable and less prone to the misfires that produce the experience as the brain matures. What déjà vu ultimately reveals is something important and slightly humbling about the nature of memory. Memory is not a recording, it is a reconstruction, assembled each time it is needed from stored components, subject to errors and distortions and gaps that the conscious mind is largely unaware of. The brain does not simply retrieve experiences, it rebuilds them, and in the rebuilding, it sometimes gets things wrong. Déjà vu is one of the visible symptoms of this constructive, error-prone process. The mind does not always tell the truth about what it has experienced. And there is something oddly reassuring in that. Not because errors in memory are desirable, but because the occasional glitch, the moment of uncanny familiarity with no source, is a reminder that the brain is doing something extraordinarily complex, building and maintaining a continuous sense of self and history from billions of neural events, most of them invisible to consciousness, most of them accurate. The occasional déjà vu is a small price to pay for the remarkable feat of memory that the brain performs every moment of every day. There is something almost appropriate about ending an exploration of déjà vu by settling towards sleep. Because sleep is when the memory systems do some of their most important work. When the experiences of the day are processed, consolidated, integrated with what was already known. When the brain decides, largely without your input, what to keep and what to release, what to strengthen and what to let fade. The feeling that you have been here before, when it comes, is just the brain briefly losing its footing. A small stumble in the extraordinary process of building and maintaining your continuous experience of being you. It passes. It always passes. You have been here before, in this quiet, settling moment before sleep, many times. And the familiarity of it is real, not manufactured. It is one of the most reliably comfortable places the mind knows. Let your breathing slow. You are safe. You are resting. And the mind, with all its remarkable and imperfect machinery, is doing exactly what it always does, as it always has. Good night.